The vast emptiness of space stretched out before the Galactic Empire's scout ship, the Stargazer. Captain Zorn, a tall blue-skinned alien with 4 arms, stood on the bridge. His large, round eyes scanned the ship's monitors. The Stargazer had been exploring this part of the galaxy for months. So far, they had found nothing interesting. "Sir, we're picking up signals from a nearby solar system," said Lieutenant Vex, the ship's sensor officer. Her antenna twitched with excitement. Zorn walked over to her station. "Show me," he said. A holographic image appeared, showing a yellow star with several planets orbiting it. One of the planets, the third from the star, caught Zorn's attention. It was blue and green, with white clouds swirling in its atmosphere. "Zoom in on that one," Zorn ordered. As the image grew larger, they could see cities, roads, and what looked like primitive spacecraft orbiting the planet. "It seems we found a civilization," Zorn said. "But they look quite primitive. They haven't even left their own solar system yet." Lieutenant Vex nodded. "Should we report this to High Command?" "Yes," Zorn replied. "But first, let's gather more information." For the next few days, the Stargazer stayed hidden behind the planet's moon. They watched and listened, learning about the species that called this world home. "They call themselves humans," Vex reported, "and they call their planet Earth." Zorn found the humans fascinating. They were so young compared to the other species in the Galactic Empire. Yet, they had already accomplished so much. They had cities that reached the sky, machines that could fly, and computers that could process vast amounts of information. But what impressed Zorn the most was their potential. In just a few hundred years, humans had gone from horse-drawn carriages to space stations. They were advancing at an incredible rate. "We should make contact," Zorn suggested during a meeting with his officers. They could be valuable allies to the Empire. But not everyone agreed. Commander Krell, the ship's security officer, shook his head. "They're too unpredictable," he argued. "Look at their history. It's full of wars and conflicts. They can't even get along with each other. How can we trust them?" The debate went on for hours. In the end, they decided to send their findings to High Command and let them make the decision. Weeks passed as they waited for a response. During this time, they continued to observe Earth. They saw acts of kindness and bravery that amazed them, but they also saw cruelty and destruction that horrified them. Finally, the message from High Command arrived. Zorn read it with growing concern. "They want us to prepare for an invasion," he announced to his stunned crew. "But why?" Vex asked. "The humans haven't done anything to us." Zorn sighed. "High Command believes the humans are too dangerous to be left alone. They think it's better to conquer them now, while they're still primitive, rather than wait until they become a real threat." The crew of the Stargazer fell silent. They had seen the humans' potential for both good and evil. Now they were going to be part of an invasion that could destroy all of that potential. As the first wave of the Empire's invasion fleet arrived, Zorn couldn't help but feel a sense of dread. He watched as thousands of warships appeared out of hyperspace, their weapons primed and ready. "May the stars have mercy on us all," Zorn whispered. On Earth, people went about their daily lives, unaware of the danger lurking above them. In observatories around the world, astronomers noticed strange objects appearing near the moon. But before they could raise the alarm, the invasion began. The first signs were the strange lights in the sky. Then came the deafening roar as alien ships entered the atmosphere. Panic spread across the globe as humans realized they were no longer alone in the universe. As chaos erupted on the planet below, Zorn watched from the Stargazer. He couldn't shake the feeling that the Empire had made a terrible mistake. The humans, with their resourcefulness and determination, might prove to be a far more formidable enemy than anyone had anticipated. Little did the Galactic Empire know, their first war with humans would become a legend, a warning to all who would underestimate this young, fierce species from a small blue planet called Earth. The sky over New York City turned an ominous shade of red. People stopped in their tracks, looking up with a mix of awe and fear. Sarah, a young office worker, was among them. She had been rushing to work, but now she stood frozen on the sidewalk. "What's happening?" someone nearby asked. Before anyone could answer, a massive shadow fell over the city. A spaceship, larger than any building Sarah had ever seen, appeared above the skyscrapers. It was followed by dozens more, each as big as the first. Panic erupted on the streets. Cars crashed, people screamed, and chaos took over. Sarah's phone buzzed with an emergency alert. "This is not a drill. Seek shelter immediately." Meanwhile, in the White House Situation Room, President Emily Chen stared at the screens in disbelief. Reports were coming in from all over the world. London, Tokyo, Moscow, Beijing, all were under attack. "Madam President," General Thompson said, his voice grave, "we're detecting thousands of alien ships entering our atmosphere. Our military bases worldwide are being targeted." President Chen took a deep breath. "Launch our defense systems and get me on air. The people need to know what's happening." Across the globe, humans faced the terrifying reality of an alien invasion. In Rio de Janeiro, Joao and his sister Maria huddled in their small apartment, watching the alien ships hover over Copacabana Beach. "I always believed aliens existed," Joao whispered, "but I never thought they'd come like this." Maria clutched her brother's hand. "What do they want from us?" The answer came swiftly and brutally. The alien ships began firing strange energy weapons. Buildings crumbled, roads melted, and entire city blocks were reduced to ash in seconds. In London, Dr. Amelia Wright, a renowned physicist, watched the destruction from her laboratory at Cambridge University. Her mind raced, trying to understand the alien technology. "Their weapons," she muttered to herself. "They're unlike anything we've ever seen. But if we can understand them, maybe we can find a way to fight back." As Earth's military forces scrambled to respond, they quickly realized how outmatched they were. Fighter jets were swatted from the sky like flies. Tanks and artillery were useless against the alien ships' force fields. But humans, as they had done countless times throughout history, refused to give up. In a small town in Kansas, Farmer John Miller and his neighbors formed a makeshift resistance group. "We may not have fancy space guns," John told the gathered crowd in the town hall, "but we got something they don't expect: the will to fight for our home." Similar scenes played out across the planet. People from all walks of life, all countries, and all beliefs came together to face the common threat. In orbit, aboard the Galactic Empire's command ship, Admiral Zex watched the invasion unfold. He had expected an easy victory, but the humans' resistance surprised him. "These primitives are more resilient than we anticipated," he growled to his second-in-command. "Should we increase our attack force, sir?" the officer asked. Admiral Zex considered for a moment. "No, send in the ground troops. Let's see how these humans fare in close combat." Back on Earth, as night fell, the true horror of the invasion became clear. Alien soldiers, clad in sleek armor and wielding energy weapons, began to land in major cities. In Tokyo, Kenji, a young police officer, found himself face to face with one of the alien invaders. The creature was tall, with 4 arms and scaly skin. Its eyes glowed in the dark. Kenji's hand shook as he pointed his gun at the alien. "Stop right there," he shouted. The alien tilted its head, seemingly amused by the primitive weapon. It raised its own gun, which hummed with energy. In that moment, as fear threatened to overwhelm him, Kenji remembered his training, his duty to protect. With a steadiness that surprised even him, he fired. The bullet hit the alien's armor, doing no damage. But it distracted the creature long enough for Kenji to dive for cover. As he rolled behind a car, he realized something important. These invaders weren't invincible. As the first day of the invasion came to an end, Earth was battered but not broken. Millions had died, great cities lay in ruins, but the human spirit remained undefeated. In hidden bunkers, secret labs, and makeshift command centers, humans began to plan their counterattack. They had been caught off guard, but they were quick learners. And they had one advantage the Galactic Empire hadn't counted on: the fierce determination to protect their home. As Sarah huddled with other survivors in a New York subway station, as Dr. Wright worked tirelessly in her lab to unlock the secrets of alien tech, as Kenji helped organize Tokyo's defense, a common thought echoed around the world. This was humanity's darkest hour, but it would not be their last. 2 weeks had passed since the invasion began. The Galactic Empire's forces had expected a quick victory, but they now found themselves in a grueling war of attrition. In the ruins of Chicago, Major Lisa Chen led a group of soldiers through the rubble-strewn streets. They moved silently, their eyes scanning for any sign of the alien invaders. Major whispered Private Rodriguez, "Movement at 2 o'clock." Chen raised her hand, signaling the squad to stop. Through the dust and smoke, they saw the hulking form of an alien tank. It was unlike anything they had ever seen, hovering above the ground and armed with energy weapons that could vaporize a building in seconds. Chen's mind raced. Their weapons were no match for the alien tank's armor. But then she remembered the device in her backpack, a prototype developed by Dr. Wright and her team. "Rodriguez, Johnson, distraction maneuver," Chen ordered. "The rest of you with me." As Rodriguez and Johnson drew the tank's attention with carefully placed shots, Chen and the others circled behind it. She pulled out the device, a small cylindrical object that hummed with energy. "I hope this works," Chen muttered as she activated it and threw it at the tank. The device latched onto the tank's hull and began to glow. Suddenly, the tank's energy field flickered and died. Its weapons went dark, and it crashed to the ground. Chen couldn't believe her eyes. "It worked," she breathed. Then, louder, "It worked. Take it down." The squad opened fire, their bullets now finding purchase in the alien armor. Within minutes, the once invincible tank was nothing but smoking wreckage. News of this victory spread quickly, boosting morale among Earth's defenders. Humans might be outgunned, but they were proving to be remarkably adaptable. In orbit, aboard the Empire's command ship, Admiral Zex received the report of the tank's destruction with growing concern. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "These primitives shouldn't be able to counter our technology." His second-in-command, Commander Vax, looked nervous. "Sir, we're receiving similar reports from other fronts. The humans are learning, adapting. Our losses are mounting." Zex slammed his fist on the console. "Impossible. Send in the dreadnought. We'll show these humans the true might of the Empire." Back on Earth, in a secret underground lab, Dr. Amelia Wright worked tirelessly. The captured alien technology had yielded incredible insights. She and her international team of scientists were making breakthroughs daily. Dr. Wright called out her assistant, excitement in his voice. "We've cracked the code on their communication system." Wright rushed over, her eyes widening as she saw the stream of alien data on the screen. "This is it," she said, a smile spreading across her face. "With this, we can intercept their orders, maybe even interfere with their systems." As Wright and her team celebrated this breakthrough, halfway across the world, another kind of resistance was taking shape. In the Amazon rainforest, indigenous leader Raoni gathered his people. They had lived in harmony with the forest for generations, and now they used their deep knowledge of the land to wage a guerrilla war against the invaders. "The aliens do not understand this place," Raoni told his warriors. "But we do. We are its children, and we will use its strength to defeat them." Using traps, ambushes, and an intimate knowledge of the terrain, Raoni's warriors were able to take down alien patrols with minimal casualties. The dense canopy interfered with the aliens' advanced sensors, leveling the playing field. Similar stories of human ingenuity and bravery emerged from all corners of the globe. In Siberia, Russian trappers used the harsh winter to their advantage, luring alien units into icy death traps. In the Australian outback, Aboriginal trackers guided special forces to hidden alien bases. The Empire's forces, so sure of their superiority, found themselves increasingly frustrated. Their advanced weapons were less effective in Earth's varied environments. Their rigid tactics failed against the humans' unpredictable strategies. Admiral Zex watched with growing horror as the casualty reports flooded in. The Empire had never encountered a species like this before. A species that not only refused to give up but seemed to grow stronger with each defeat. As the Dreadnought, the Empire's most powerful warship, entered Earth's atmosphere, Zex felt a flutter of doubt. He quickly suppressed it. "This ends now," he growled. But on the ground, as news of the approaching Dreadnought spread, the humans didn't cower in fear. Instead, they saw an opportunity. Major Chen, Dr. Wright, Rowney, and countless others around the world prepared for the battle to come. They had suffered greatly, but they had also learned much, and they were ready to show the Empire that humanity would not go quietly into the night. The stage was set for a confrontation that would decide the fate of Earth. And unknown to the Empire, it would also change the course of galactic history forever. The Dreadnought, a massive alien warship, loomed over New York City like a dark cloud. Its presence cast a shadow of fear across the already battered metropolis. But in a secret underground lab beneath the ruins of Columbia University, hope was brewing. Dr. Amelia Wright stood before a strange device, a mix of human and alien technology. Her team of scientists from around the world watched in anticipation. "If this works," Wright said, her voice barely above a whisper, "we'll have a fighting chance." She pressed a button, and the device hummed to life. Lights flickered, and for a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, suddenly, every screen in the lab lit up with alien text and diagrams. "We did it," shouted Chen Lai, a young physicist from China. "We've tapped into their systems." Wright allowed herself a small smile. "Now the real work begins. We need to understand their technology, and fast." As the scientists pored over the alien data, military leaders around the world prepared for a counterattack. In a bunker deep beneath the Pentagon, General Thompson briefed President Chen on their plan. "We've identified a weakness in the Dreadnought's shield system," Thompson explained, pointing to a holographic model. "If we can exploit it, we might be able to bring that monster down." President Chen nodded grimly. "Do it. Humanity is counting on us." Meanwhile, in a refugee camp on the outskirts of what used to be London, a group of civilians were making their own contributions to the war effort. Led by Sarah, the office worker who had witnessed the invasion start in New York, they had set up a makeshift factory. "Careful with that alien alloy," Sarah called out to a volunteer. "It's lighter than steel, but 10 times stronger." They were reverse engineering alien weapons and armor, creating crude but effective tools for the resistance. Sarah never imagined she'd be doing anything like this, but the invasion had awakened a strength she didn't know she possessed. Across the globe, similar scenes played out. Humans from all walks of life united in their efforts to survive and fight back. Farmers turned their fields into traps for alien ground forces. Hackers worked tirelessly to disrupt enemy communications. Even children played a role, their small hands able to reach into captured alien devices to rewire them. In orbit, Admiral Zex of the Galactic Empire was growing increasingly frustrated. He paced the bridge of his command ship, glaring at the reports flooding in. "How are these primitives doing this?" he snarled. "They're turning our own technology against us." His second-in-command, Vax, looked nervous. "Sir, there's more. Our ground forces are reporting strange occurrences, weapons malfunctioning, communications going haywire. It's as if the planet itself is fighting us." Zex's eyes narrowed. He had never encountered a species like humans before. Their adaptability, their creativity, their sheer determination, it was unlike anything in the Empire's vast experience. Back on Earth, the day of the counterattack arrived. As the sun rose over New York, the Dreadnought began to power up its main weapon, a cannon capable of reducing the entire city to ash. But humanity was ready. From hidden positions around the city, specially modified missiles launched towards the massive ship. Most were shot down by the dreadnought's defenses, but a few made it through, striking at the weak point identified by Earth's scientists. The dreadnought's shields flickered and failed. For a moment, the ship hung in the air, vulnerable. Then, with a roar that shook the Earth, every remaining human weapon in the area opened fire. The sight of the mighty dreadnought falling from the sky was one that no one who witnessed it would ever forget. It crashed into the Hudson River, sending up a plume of steam and debris that could be seen for miles. As news of the dreadnought's destruction spread, cheers erupted around the world. For the first time since the invasion began, humanity dared to hope. In the Empire's command ship, Admiral Zex watched in disbelief as the dreadnought's signal winked out. "Impossible," he whispered. But it was possible, and it was just the beginning. With each passing day, humans grew more adept at fighting the alien invaders. They combined their own ingenuity with captured alien tech, creating hybrid weapons and defenses that the Empire struggled to counter. What had started as an easy conquest for the Galactic Empire had turned into a grueling war of attrition. And slowly but surely, humanity was turning the tide. As Dr. Wright and her team made breakthrough after breakthrough, as Sarah's makeshift factories churned out new weapons, as soldiers like Major Chen led daring raids against alien strongholds, a new reality began to dawn on the Empire. They had made a terrible mistake in underestimating this young species. The easy conquest they had envisioned had become a nightmare. And for the first time in its long history, the Galactic Empire faced the real possibility of defeat. The war for Earth was far from over. But the turning point had come. Humanity had shown the galaxy that they were a force to be reckoned with, and they were just getting started. The skies over Cape Canaveral were clear and blue, a stark contrast to the tension on the ground. Thousands of people gathered to witness a moment that would go down in human history. Among them stood Sarah, the former office worker turned resistance fighter, her eyes fixed on the massive structure before her. It wasn't a rocket. At least, not entirely. The sleek, silvery craft was a hybrid of human and alien technology, the culmination of months of reverse engineering and innovation. Its name was Phoenix, a symbol of humanity's rise from the ashes of near destruction. Dr. Amelia Wright stood at a podium, addressing the crowd and the billions watching worldwide. "Today," she said, her voice steady despite her racing heart, "humanity takes its first step into the stars, not as conquerors, but as defenders of our home." As the countdown began, Sarah couldn't help but think of how far they'd come. Just a year ago, they were fighting for survival in the streets of Earth's cities. Now they were about to take the fight to the enemy. The Phoenix roared to life, its engines, a mix of human rocket propulsion and alien gravitational technology, lifting it off the ground. As it streaked into the sky, a cheer went up from the crowd, echoing around the world. In orbit, Major Lisa Chen sat in the pilot's seat of the Phoenix, her hands steady on the controls. Beside her, a team of Earth's best and brightest prepared for humanity's first foray into interstellar war. "All systems go," Chen reported, preparing for hyperspace jump. The stars stretched into lines, and then the Phoenix was gone, leaving Earth behind in a flash of light. Meanwhile, deep in the Galactic Empire's territory, Admiral Zex was facing a council of his superiors. The holographic figures loomed over him, their expressions stern. "You assured us this would be an easy conquest," one of the council members growled. "Instead, we find ourselves in a prolonged conflict with these humans." Zex swallowed hard. "The humans have proven to be more resourceful than we anticipated, but I assure you, we will crush them soon." Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the station. A junior officer burst into the room, panic clear on his alien features. "Admiral," he gasped, "we're detecting multiple unknown ships entering the system." Zex's blood ran cold. It couldn't be, could it? On the bridge of the Phoenix, Major Chen allowed herself a small smile as they dropped out of hyperspace. Before them lay one of the Empire's major supply depots, their first target. "All ships, report in," she commanded. One by one, the other ships in humanity's first space fleet checked in. There were only a dozen of them, tiny compared to the Empire's vast armadas. But each was crewed by humans who had fought and bled for their world, and who now brought that same determination to the stars. "Remember the plan," Chen said. "Hit hard, hit fast, and get out. Let's show the Empire what humans can do." The battle that followed would be talked about for generations. The Empire's forces, caught completely off guard, struggled to mount a defense. Human ships, incorporating stolen alien technology with their own innovations, danced between enemy fire with a grace that seemed impossible. Sarah, watching from a screen back on Earth, cheered as she saw the Empire's ships fall one by one. This was what they had worked so hard for, a chance to take the fight to the enemy. As the battle raged, news spread quickly through the Empire's territories. Rumors flew from planet to planet, space station to space station. The humans, those primitives from a backwater world, had not only resisted the Empire, but were now attacking them on their own turf. In hidden corners of the galaxy, species that had long lived under the Empire's boot began to whisper, if the humans could do it, maybe they could too. Back at the supply depot, Major Chen gave the order to withdraw. They had destroyed key facilities and captured valuable resources and intelligence. It was time to go home. As the Phoenix and its fleet jumped back into hyperspace, leaving behind the burning wreckage of the Empire's base, Chen allowed herself a moment of reflection. This was just the beginning, she knew. The war was far from over. But for the first time, humanity was taking the fight to the stars. On Earth, as news of the victory spread, celebrations erupted around the globe. People danced in the streets, hugged strangers, and looked to the sky with hope instead of fear. Dr. Wright, watching the celebrations from her lab, felt a mix of pride and apprehension. They had achieved so much, but there was still so much to do. The Empire would not take this defeat lightly. As if echoing her thoughts, President Chen addressed the world. "Today, we have shown the galaxy that humanity will not go quietly into the night. We will fight, we will survive, and we will win." The speech was met with thunderous applause. But in a quiet room in the White House, the president turned to her advisors with a serious expression. "The Empire will retaliate," she said. "We need to be ready." As the people of Earth celebrated their first victory in space, preparations were already underway for the battles to come. The war had entered a new phase, and humanity was ready to show the galaxy what they were truly capable of. The vast emptiness of space was shattered by the arrival of the largest fleet the Galactic Empire had ever assembled. Thousands of warships, led by the new super-dreadnought Empire's Fist, dropped out of hyperspace near Earth's solar system. Admiral Zex stood on the bridge of the Empire's Fist, his 4 eyes narrowed as he gazed at the blue planet on the view screen. "This ends today," he growled. "Prepare all weapons. We will crush these humans once and for all." On Earth, alarms blared in every major city and military base. In the Global Defense Headquarters beneath Mount Cheyenne, President Chen received the news with a grim expression. "They're here," she announced to the room full of military and scientific leaders. "This is what we've been preparing for. Humanity's fate will be decided today." Dr. Amelia Wright stepped forward, holding a small device. "Madam President, we're ready to deploy the Nexus Shield." The Nexus Shield was humanity's secret weapon, a planetary defense system that combined Earth's entire power grid with reverse-engineered alien technology. It was untested on this scale, but it was their best hope. "Do it," President Chen ordered. As the Empire's fleet approached, ready to unleash devastation, the Nexus Shield sprang to life. A shimmering, translucent barrier enveloped the entire planet, much to the shock of the invaders. Admiral Zex's jaw dropped. Impossible. How could these primitives create such a defense? "All ships, concentrate fire." The space around Earth lit up as thousands of energy beams and missiles struck the shield. The barrier flickered but held. Inside the shield, Major Lisa Chen led Earth's defense fleet. The Phoenix and its sister ships, now numbering in the hundreds, rose from hidden bases around the planet. "All ships, report in," Chen commanded. "Remember your training. We're not just fighting for ourselves, but for every species that's ever been oppressed by the Empire. Let's show them what humanity can do." The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human ships, smaller but far more agile than their Imperial counterparts, darted between the massive enemy vessels. They used tactics that seemed insane to the rigid Imperial commanders, flying into debris fields, using planets and moons for slingshot maneuvers, and employing complex formations that confused the Empire's targeting systems. On the ground, Sarah coordinated a global network of hackers and tech specialists. They launched cyberattacks against the Imperial fleet, disrupting communications and even managing to turn some of the Empire's own weapons against them. "Keep it up," Sarah shouted over the din of her command center. "We're making a difference." As the battle raged on, it became clear that despite their overwhelming numbers, the Empire was struggling. They had never faced an enemy like humanity before, unpredictable, innovative, and utterly refusing to give up. Admiral Zex watched in disbelief as ship after ship in his fleet reported critical damage or went silent. "This can't be happening," he muttered. Then, a new threat appeared on his sensors. From the far side of the solar system, a massive swarm of objects was approaching at incredible speed. "What is that?" Zex demanded. On Earth, Dr. Wright allowed herself a small smile as she watched the readings. "Right on time," she said. The swarm was revealed to be millions of tiny drones, each carrying a payload of the same energy-disrupting device that had been so effective against Imperial technology. As they reached the Empire's fleet, they attached themselves to ship after ship, shorting out systems and leaving the mighty warships powerless. Major Chen saw her opportunity. "All ships, focus fire on the Empire's fist. Take out their command ship." The Phoenix led the charge, weaving through the chaos of the battle. Imperial ships, confused and powerless, couldn't mount an effective defense. Beam after beam struck the Empire's fist, its mighty shields finally failing under the onslaught. On the bridge of his dying ship, Admiral Zex realized the truth that would shake the Empire to its core. "We never stood a chance," he whispered as explosions rocked the vessel. The destruction of the Empire's fist was the final blow. The remaining Imperial ships, those that could still maneuver, began to retreat. Cheers erupted throughout Earth's fleet and in command centers around the planet. As the last Imperial ship winked out of existence, jumping to hyperspace in retreat, an eerie quiet fell over the battlefield. Debris from thousands of ships floated silently in space, a testament to the ferocity of the conflict. Major Chen's voice broke the silence. "Earth Defense Command, this is Phoenix. The enemy has retreated. I repeat, the enemy has retreated. We've won." On Earth, celebrations erupted around the globe. People poured into the streets, hugging strangers, and looking to the sky, not in fear, but in pride. In the Cheyenne Mountain Command Center, President Chen addressed the world. "Today, we have defeated not just an invading army, but the very idea that humanity is weak or primitive. We have proven that we belong among the stars." As the celebrations continued, Dr. Wright and Sarah shared a quiet moment. "What do you think will happen now?" Sarah asked. Dr. Wright looked thoughtful. "The galaxy just changed forever. The Empire has been defeated for the first time in its history. Other species will hear about this. And humanity. Well, our journey is just beginning." As if to emphasize her point, a beep came from one of the consoles. A transmission was coming in, from deep space, beyond the Empire's borders. The war was over, but humanity's adventure among the stars was just beginning. 5 years had passed since the great battle that had sent the Galactic Empire fleeing from Earth. The planet, once on the brink of destruction, now bustled with a mix of human and alien technologies. Gleaming skyscrapers stood next to structures of impossible geometries, a testament to humanity's rapid advancement. In New York, now a sprawling spaceport, Sarah walked through a crowded street. Humans mingled with a variety of alien species, refugees, diplomats, and traders from across the galaxy. She smiled, remembering a time when the sight of a single alien had caused panic. Sarah's comm device beeped. "Sarah, we need you at the Galactic Council chambers," came Dr. Wright's voice. "On my way," Sarah replied, hailing a hovercat. The Galactic Council, a new organization formed in the wake of the Empire's defeat, had its headquarters in what used to be the United Nations building. As Sarah entered, she saw familiar faces: Dr. Wright, Major Chen, now General, and President Chen, along with representatives from dozens of alien species. President Chen stood at the podium, addressing the assembly. "Today marks 5 years since our victory against the Galactic Empire. But it is not just humanity's victory we celebrate. It is a victory for freedom throughout the galaxy." Cheers and various alien sounds of approval filled the chamber. "The fall of the Empire has ushered in a new era," President Chen continued. "Dozens of species, once oppressed, have gained their independence. Trade routes have opened up. Knowledge is being shared freely. But our work is not done." She gestured to a holographic map of the galaxy. Vast swaths of it were colored red, former imperial territory, now fragmented and chaotic. The power vacuum left by the Empire's retreat has led to conflict in many sectors. It is our responsibility, as the catalyst of this change, to help bring stability. General Chen stepped forward. "Our fleets, combined with those of our allies, have been working to quell the worst of the fighting. But military might alone is not the answer." Dr. Wright took over. "That's why we've been focusing on diplomatic and technological solutions. The Nexus Shield technology, which saved Earth, has been adapted to protect vulnerable planets. We're also sharing medical and agricultural advancements to help worlds ravaged by imperial rule." As the meeting continued, Sarah couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. Humanity, once on the verge of extinction, was now a guiding force in the galaxy. After the council session, Sarah joined her friends on the building's observation deck. The sky was filled with ships of all shapes and sizes, coming and going from Earth. "Did you ever imagine it would turn out like this?" Sarah asked, gazing at the stars. Dr. Wright shook her head. "Never. We were just trying to survive. Now look at us. We're reshaping the galaxy." General Chen's expression was more somber. "We've achieved so much, but there's still danger out there. The Empire, though weakened, is not destroyed. They're rebuilding in the unknown regions, and one day they'll be back." President Chen joined them, overhearing the conversation. "That's why we can't become complacent. We must remain vigilant, but also compassionate. We can't become the very thing we fought against." As they talked, a group of alien children on a school trip passed by, pointing excitedly at Earth's heroes. One of them, a small blue-skinned creature, approached Sarah. "Is it true?" The child asked in broken English. "Did your people really defeat the whole empire?" Sarah knelt down, smiling. "We had help from brave people all across the galaxy, and one day it'll be up to you to keep the galaxy safe." The child's eyes widened with wonder, and Sarah felt a renewed sense of purpose. As night fell, the group looked up at the stars once more. Hundreds of points of light were moving, ships heading out to explore, to trade, to help. "So, what's next for humanity?" Sarah asked. President Chen smiled. "We keep moving forward. We've proven ourselves as warriors. Now it's time to prove ourselves as peacekeepers, as explorers, as friends to all species who seek freedom and knowledge." Dr. Wright nodded. "There's so much to learn, so much to discover. The galaxy is vast, and we've only scratched the surface. And we'll be ready, General Chen added, "If the Empire ever dares to return." As they stood there, looking up at the infinite possibilities that lay before them, a message flashed across the global news network. It was being broadcast in every language, on every planet that could receive the transmission. To all species of the galaxy, Earth stands with you. Together, we can build a future brighter than any empire. And to those who would threaten peace and freedom, the message paused for effect. Remember Earth, remember humanity, and run. The once primitive species from a backwater planet had become a legend, a symbol of hope for the oppressed, and a warning to tyrants across the stars. Humanity's journey among the stars was just beginning, and the galaxy would never be the same.